What's up YouTube? Knight's Edge here again. Got another little quick review for you of a knife that was sent to me by the Ponds. Big shout out to him. It's thanks to people like him I'm able to check out cool knives like this. And thanks everyone for subscribing to the channel. If you're not, I'll wait. Hit the subscribe button down there. Like the video. It helps the algorithm, helps me out a lot. Yeah, so definitely thanks to everyone for all the support that I've had. It's been a crazy ride, you know. This has been an awesome experience, and I'm definitely having a ton of fun. So this one is the Vosteed Ankylo, or Ankylo, A-N-K-Y-L-O. I mean, I'd see it as Ankylo, but I could be wrong on the pronunciation on that. Pretty cool little knife. It's got the Vanguard lock on it, which is kind of like a button lock, but it's in the pivot, right? So this is obviously it's captive on that side. You got those two screws there. You push this in and it drops closed, which is pretty cool. We're going to talk all about it here in a second. I'll give my full thoughts on the action, all that good stuff. I'll go ahead and we'll get the full-on specs out of the way here. Alright, so if you're going from the tip of the blade to the end of the handle, you're looking right at 7 7/8. I'd say right at 7 7/8. I don't know, maybe a hair over. And if you're looking at the blade length on this thing, you're looking right at 3.5. You go all the way up to where it meets with the handle. Cutting edge right at 3 inches. Thanks that pretty generous forward choil there. Alright, get the calibers out, make sure they're zeroed. Let's do blade stock thickness here, 139 thousandths, thickest part of the spine. And behind the edge, you're looking at right around 19 thousandths, pretty nice grind on this thing. It's fairly thick handle, 0.55 an inch, you know, a little thicker than what you would be used to a knife of comparable size, but not like anything crazy, you know, so I mean, not definitely not a deal breaker at all. It's a little chunky handle there, and I think a lot of that's attributed to the Vancor lock, as they call it. Vancor or Vancor, I don't know how you say it. It's V-A-N-C-H-O-R. That's the locking type on this one. So let's go ahead and do size comparisons. We'll get it next to the Paramilitary 2 and the Spyderco Para 3. You can see it's kind of like right in between the two. Like a, I don't know, medium, large, medium full size knife. I don't know how to describe it. There's the Ontario Knives Rat Model 1 and Ontario Knives Rat Model 2. So there you can see again, it's closer to the size of the Rat 1. Definitely the Rat 1 has more overall length and more cutting edge for sure. And last but not least, got the Cold Steel Knives 8010 and the Demco Knives 80-20.5. So more, I'd say more 20.5 size, you know, but yeah, still definitely some more cutting edge and overall length than the 20.5. Nowhere near as bulky and beefy as the 8010 by any means. All right. So next, let's see, we'll get the scale out here. Get a weight on this bad boy. And weight, Vosteed Ankylo coming in at 4.9 ounces. 4.9 ounces, so we'll go with that, 4.9 ounces. So definitely, like I said, definitely a little chunker, you know, doesn't look that heavy, you know, with the overall length and you know, blade length and all that stuff, but I think a lot of that's attributed to the mechanism that's inside of here, maybe for the lock, you know, is fairly thick, you know. The handles are they're milled out, the liners are milled out, right, for weight reduction, so that definitely does help. Aluminum handles too, so that's a good thing. Really nice frag pattern. I'm getting off in the weeds here before I get through with the specs. All right, let me put the scale up and let's see what she's like in the pocket. So right about there is what you're looking at, you know, almost fully deep carry, you know, but not all the way hidden. You still got just a little bit sticking out right there. No big deal to me. And I think the clip functions, you know, pretty good. No issues there as far as the clip goes. Now this is the Ponz's knife, as I mentioned earlier, so I'm not going to be disassembling it. I don't want to take it apart and mess something. I've never, I'm kind of curious to disassemble one of these for sure, because I've never been inside of one of the with the Vancore lock. So I think it'd be pretty cool, but I don't know if I could get it back together, to be honest with you. Maybe not. I don't want to have to send the Ponz's knife to Vosteed, you know. Trying out the bit drivers here. This is T6 right there. I think that's a T8. Let me double check. Let's see, T8. Yeah, T8. Alright, so T8 on the body screws. That one was a little loose. That's weird. So I'll double check all of them. I think T6 on the pocket clip. Yeah. Just double checking the screws. Make sure his screws are tight. Definitely don't want to send him back a knife with loose hardware for sure. But like I said, T6 on the clip. T6 on the pivot, but you got two of them, so I don't think that factors in as you know, the normal amount of downside that would be, if that makes any sense. You know, normally if you got a knife, or me anyway, normally if I've got a knife and it's got a T6 pivot, I'm like, man, what is this garbage, you know? But this one's a little different. It's got two screws there, so it comes apart different. Doesn't look like a whole heck of a lot of hardware, but definitely an adequate amount of hardware for sure. I mean, you get your 1, 2, 3 body screws, and your pivot barrel, or not your pivot barrel, your lanyard barrel, whatever you want to call that part, pocket clip screws, and then the pivot itself, that Vancore lock inside. So definitely a decent amount of hardware, you know. Not the most I've ever seen by any means, you know, I wouldn't say. But yeah, pretty cool. I love this lock. This thing is super smooth. Pretty neat, really. You know, this is the first time I've ever checked out a button operated pivot, you know, or a pivot lock. I know this is kind of becoming like the fad, if you will, nowadays. Or not the fad, but it's a new thing that's, you know, I guess it is a fad. It's gaining more and more popularity, more and more traction. But yeah, the action on this thing's awesome. I think it's pretty good. It works pretty good. Now see, whenever I tightened up on that one screw a little bit, it did cause like a teeny little bit of drag on this thing for some reason. So I'm gonna come off of it and see if that helps. Yeah, that does help. That's weird. That is weird. So maybe, huh, okay, that's pretty cool. Definitely need to get inside of one of these Vancore locks, you know, to check them out and kind of make an ass out of myself on a video, but also I'd like to, you know, just see how they work. I need to watch, you know, there's a couple of different people. I'm sure Rob already has a disassembly, but you know, Shabazz, there's a couple other people I'm sure already have disassemblies of that type of lock. In case you're wondering, in case you know, you need some information on it or whatever. But yeah, the front flipper works really good. You know, I'm not the best front flipper, and I can front flip it fairly well, so no issues there. The regular flipper, the rear flipper, whatever you want to call it, works awesome. You know, no issues there. You can do it like that or regular like that. The hole works fine for middle finger flicking. You know, it's perfect right there. Definitely multiple means of deployment on this one, or you can hold down the pivot lock and, you know, throw it out there like that. I wouldn't recommend that. I for some reason would think that would be the least healthy way to open the knife, but you know, you can definitely do it. It might not hurt anything, I don't know. On the blade, you've got LMAX, which is a pretty good steel. I've never had an issue with LMAX. It seems to be a steel that's kind of you know, more premium than not. Microtech has used LMAX a lot. There's a lot of excuse me, a lot of other knife companies that use LMAX a lot. LMAX is a good steel, especially if heat treated the right way. You've got a PVD coating on there, and you've got a aluminum handle with that frag finish on this one. They do come in plenty of other variants. I'm wanting to say 10 or 12 or so other variants just of the Ankylo alone, you know. So definitely can pick out the one you like the most. This jimping right here extends up here. That's pretty nice. Really comfortable, really ergonomic. I love that blade shape. I like the belly on it. That helps a lot cutting and slicing. Very overall great knife. I mean, if I was to think of cons, I mean, that would, maybe if you did something in here, tighten it up or whatever, this action has the potential to be messed up. Maybe a little more than a normal knife with your lock being on the pivot itself. Maybe not. I have no idea. The T6s, you know, of course, I always wish they were T8s. It'd be cool if they had a backspacer there, but they don't, but that's fine. In my eyes, you could eliminate that lanyard loop and put a backspacer. I wish the pocket clip was full deep carry, but it's not too bad, you know, and it's not a bad clip. So overall, I would recommend this knife. I'm going to put it on my most recommended knives playlist. The Vosteed Ankylo, Ankylo, however you want to say it, whatever you want to call it. There's a lot of these coming out now with the pivot lock. Riot makes them. CRKT has made one for a while. They call it the deadbolt lock, I believe. All variations different, you know, of course. You know, these are all patented things, but yeah, I'm definitely pretty excited to see all kinds of cool new stuff come out. And that pivot lock's is really neat, man. I mean, you can, you know, you move your hand back slightly and put your thumb there, push it, and it's closed. So at no point, you know, do your fingers, your thumb, or anything have to stay in the path of the blade whenever closing the knife. So that's a good thing. You can do it fairly easy, one-handed, no problem, you know. And like I said, the action on this thing's awesome. Blade shape's awesome, you know, a little chunkier in the handle, but overall great knife. So yeah, thanks Pons, I really appreciate it. Big shout out to you and people like you that allow me to borrow and check out such awesome knives. And until next time, y'all stay sharp, and I'll see you on the next one.